Dear friends, in this video, we will uh, look at a particular tissue, the epithelium. I'll take you through an overview of this particular tissue, overview of the epithelium. Epithelium is a sheet of cells that lines the surfaces. That is its simplest way of understanding. It may be internal surface of body organs like the digestive system or the respiratory system, or it may be the exterior of the body, as in the case of the skin. This is two contrasting interpretations of the purpose of the epithelium. Obviously, the utility of this kind of a tissue is protection, probably selective permit to nutrients and other molecules, and maybe in some cases, like when it forms glands, etc., it could be secretion. We will not go into the details, but let's understand the design of the epithelium. We can look at the epithelium in different contexts. We will take up two for the simplicity of the discussion. One is layers, second is a cell shape. The cells can be a single layer of cells, simple epithelium. It can be stratified epithelium, multiple layers, or it can be pseudo stratified, that means two layered. Now, when it comes to shapes, the cell shapes can differ at different places. It can be squamous, it can be cuboidal, it can be columnar. Keeping this as the base of the discussion, we can have different combinations. I've listed a few, but these are not exclusive. There are others that will be added from time to time. For example, we can have simple squamous epithelium, like example endothelium. You can have simple cuboidal epithelium, thyroid gland, simple columnar epithelium, as in the case of the duodenal mucosa. Similarly, you can have the same in the stratified variety. Then, as I told you, we'll add a few like transitional epithelium as we talk along. Now, let's go into some of the examples and the type of epithelium. Now, this one is the beginning slide. This is a slide of simple squamous epithelium, one layer of cells, just a sheet of cells, flat. That's why it's called squamous, resting on a basement membrane. The best example will be the alveoli of the lung. The alveolar cells are resting on a basement membrane. The function, of course, is regulated transport and secretion. It ensures the transition or the flow of oxygen from the lumen into the capillaries, and in the reverse direction, the removal of carbon dioxide. Another example of simple squamous epithelium will be the kidney, the Bowman's capsule of the kidney. You can see the marked arrows, the um, bluish green arrows clearly indicate the flat cells of the outer layer of the Bowman's capsule. Next, simple cuboidal epithelium. Simple cuboidal epithelium. Example will be thyroid follicle. This is the thyroid gland, and in histological section you can see this is the thyroid follicle, one thyroid follicle, and what is shown by the um, blue-green colored arrow is the um, cuboidal cells. Secretion and absorption are the attributes of this particular type of epithelium. Next, columnar variety, flat single layer of cells. Gallbladder is an excellent example, and you can see those are the columnar cells of the gallbladder. Again, secretion and absorption. Next, same simple columnar epithelium. Another example, the pyloric glands of the stomach. You see, those are the pyloric glands, tall columnar cells, and that arrow clearly indicates the cells. Next, this is a variant, very important. This is pseudo stratified columnar. It appears as if the cells are in two layers because the nuclei are there are two layers of nuclei. Therefore, the word pseudo needs a little clarification. Although the nuclei appear as two rows, and therefore the cell appear as two layered. The reality is, if you watch carefully, all the cells reach the basement membrane. That means they are all seated on the basement membrane. As a result, it is not really a double layer. It appears like that, hence the name pseudo-stratified, falsely stratified columnar epithelium. Best example will be the tracheobronchial tree of the lung. Another example will be the stratified epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized. That means a multiple layers, but the surface does not form the keratin. That means it cannot be the skin. That means something else other than the skin. The best example will be the esophagus. You can see the layer of multiple layer of cells, and the surface there is no keratin. That means the cell outlines are very clear, nucleus are very clear even at the surface. This is the classic epithelium skin, stratified squamous with keratinization on the surface. You can see the thick layer of keratin, and the arrow points to the actual lower strata where the cell outline is clear. Transitional epithelium is an important variant from the points I have mentioned. This epithelium is unique because although strictly speaking it is stratified squamous, multiple layers are seen, basal layer, intermediate group of cells and surface. The importance of this epithelium is it is unique to the urinary tract. That means the urinary bladder and the ureter, the mucosal covering has this type of sheet of cells. Now the importance is the surface cells are attached to each other by such tight junctions that it does not permit the passage of urine into the parenchyma of the tissue. This is transitional epithelium. See the surface cells as shown by this turquoise green arrow refers to the surface cells. They are known as umbrella shaped cells. These cells are attached to each other. As a result, they form a total barrier to urine. Next, there could be, as I told you, we will add other variants in the discussion. One important variant is the testis, the seminiferous tubules of the testis. Although it secretes a certain something, the primary secretion is the cells. The sperms are secreted in this gland. Therefore, strictly speaking, in the definition of an epithelial gland, these are also an epithelia and they secrete sperm. Next, some other variants, particularly with reference to the shape. Just like you had a columnar cells, cuboidal cells, you can even have pyramidal cells, simple pyramidal cells, as in the case of the serous cells of the saliva. You see, similarly, you can have mucus cells, or you can have both serous and mucus in the same acinus. Now, these are the mucus cells. The foamy appearance is very typical of these mucus cells. That's why I've shown you a cup of tea and the foamy top to give you a very good understanding. Next, there are certain cells which do not form sheets or do not form any other pattern, but they are just isolated cells. We call them unicellular glands or single cells. The goblet cells are very good examples of this type. They are found in the intestine. Small intestine, as just as an example, large intestine, second example. These goblet cells appear wine cups. You see, they appear like wine cup shaped cells, and they have that appearance of a completely evacuated cell or a ghost appearance. This is because they contain mucus, and this mucus is washed out during the secretions. Next, in addition to these epithelial cells, there are certain special cells in special situations. As in the case of the salivary gland, you can see those flat nucleated cells. The flat cells are also flat. They are the myoepithelial cells. They are endowed with contractile properties. They contract and push whatever secretion is there, saliva, etc., into the ducts. So this is yet another type of epithelial cells. They occur in isolation or in small groups, particularly around the acini. Next, we have another type of epithelia when you look at in terms of functionalities. We have sensory epithelia. Example, taste buds. This is the surface of their tongue. You can see the epithelium, typical stratified squamous epithelium. But in some places you can see some appearance as if it's like a sectioned onion. Now those are the taste buds, and now you will see an enlarged version of the taste bud. You see, they are tall cells, um, fusiform cells. Now you see this fruit here will give you an idea how these cells are, and these cells are sensitive to their chemoreceptor cells, and their sensitization results in transmission of, or conversion of whatever taste is there into appropriate nerve impulses which are conveyed to the brain. That is why they are called a sensory epithelia or neuroepithelial sensory. Next, we can have certain surface specializations very particular to these epithelial cells. Well, it doesn't mean it is not there in others, but they are very particularly notable in the epithelial cells. They are, for example, in the case of the uterine tube, the fallopian tube, cilia, that contractions of which is responsible for movement of the ovum towards the uterine cavity. So this is the cilia. It is nothing but a cell component on the apical aspect of the cell. The membrane is thrown into folds, and this has got contractile property. As a result, it is able to move or wave-like motions of the cilia, or is able to push the ovum. Next is microvilli. This is entirely a contrivance or a surface specialization meant for absorption. Therefore, the columnar cells of the duodenum may be very good example of this particular epithelium. You see, this is the columnar epithelium. You can see marked there is a few columnar cells. They are all resting on the basement membrane. You see, the microvilli is on the apical aspect, and they increase the surface. This picture that is there at the in the background is to show how these microvilli are actually appear under the microscope. But remember, these microvilli do not have contractile property as in the case of the cilia. Their function is only absorb. They increase the surface area for absorption. Next, there is another group of specializations known as stereocilia that is seen in the epididymis. It is seen in the epididymis. These stereocilia, once again, they are quite sturdy. They do not show any motility component in their architecture. As I have discussed the cilia, we will remember a long extension of this is the flagella, which we will see in the case of the architecture of the sperm. That is also a surface specialization. Now, thank you. That was an overview of the epithelium in the context of organization of tissues. Thank you.